Hello, everybody. It's Monty Wolf. Welcome to episode 2 of Talking Success with Monty Wolf. Today, I'm sitting here with Keith and Teresa MacPhail of the famed Mac's Place in Longmont, Colorado, an amazing family-style American restaurant that is so good, you will come back again and again and again. Keith and Teresa, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing good. Doing good.
You look tired.
It's the end of the day, and
Yep.
so yeah, good is just about.
That's
Best
about
you're
that's about the best you're gonna get. Yes. Yep.
We should have done this at like 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good.
That's so funny because it's true of every, restaurant owner that you talk
Yeah.
to. It's like it never ends and they're always tired, but is it a good tired?
It is a good tired. I mean, for me at least, I operate the cafeteria over at GE Oil and Gas during the day. So Monday through Friday, that's my gig.
Yep.
I come over in the mornings to help Keith and then head over there to do lunch. And so if the engineers are happy, I'm happy.
Well, that brings me up to a really good point. I mean, Mac's Place, you guys have been known for, breakfast and lunch and, like you said, the catering with GE. But, to me, it's all about, the homemade stuff. So tell me a little bit more about what Mac's Place looks like today. What do you guys, what's a typical day and what do you specialize in?
Well, we're an American-style restaurant. We do breakfast and lunch. A lot of East Coast influence. That's where I'm originally from. So, we do some specialty items at lunchtime with an East Coast flair. We do standard breakfasts. We also, kind of do some eclectic stuff, things we've come up with, which combines a lot of our homemade ingredients. We make our own green chili, and we use that in a couple of really popular dishes. We make our own home-style gravy, pork gravy for the biscuits and gravy that we make, and kind of combine those things with some eggs and give it some funny names, and it's fun. It's good. Yeah, so it's eclectic, I guess is what I'd call it, an eclectic diner.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that because one of the things that I love about Mac's Place is the creativity. You guys make your own Pop-Tarts, and don't get me started on the homemade tater tots. I mean, that is just crazy. Homemade tater tots, homemade, potato chips.
Potato chips, yeah. And the tater tots, I mean, that's something that you really have to taste a homemade one, because I know a lot of restaurants, some here in the area, a lot down in Denver, claim to have the best tater tots. But we've tried them, and like, no, that's not exactly a homemade tater tot, because we make them and we know what they taste like. They're so different. It's just like a little pillow of potato inside a crunchy coat. It's yummy.
Yep. Very good. Good way
Okay,
to
now that I'm
describe
salivating, yes, I agree with Teresa. We should have started this a lot earlier, and maybe the podcast would have been filled with a bunch of smacks because we've been eating homemade tater tots.
Absolutely.
So, and I love that, again, like it's the creativity, and I'm curious, what spurns that on? Is it just your desire to be creative, or does somebody just make a suggestion and all of a sudden, Keith just runs with it? Or
yes and yes. Yeah, it's interesting. Like our train wreck, that was one of the dishes I talked about using our green chili on. And it kind of started out about, 5 or 6 months after, maybe not even that long after we opened up. We had a line cook who was working with us, and he would take a breakfast break about 10 o'clock. And he would throw together some eggs and some chili and some hash browns. And it was like, something? There's a breakfast dish in there. Let's play around with it. So we added some other items, melted some cheese on it, and it's become one of our most popular items. So it's kind of a combination. You got an idea, you see something, and you run with it.
I think people like to come in and feel like a train wreck and eat a train wreck. So they enjoy the name, but that was one of them. The other one is the Santa Fe.
Yep, Santa Fe. Yep.
We actually took the kids down about 3 or 4 years ago, down to Santa Fe, New Mexico. Yeah. Wanted to escape, 1 or 2 years into the small business, and we hadn't really had a lot of family time, mm-hmm. and so we decided to head down to Santa Fe, New Mexico, mm-hmm. and Keith did a cooking class while he was down there. It was just a one-day class just to see the flavors of New Mexico and what might be out there. The kids and I were hopping around all the different sightseeing things. And in that class they did an adobado pork.
Adobado pork. Yeah. Yep.
And we thought, you know what? Maybe this is a good business decision to come to Santa Fe on vacation because now we have the Santa Fe breakfast.
It was a business trip, honey, because we wrote it off.
That's right. Exactly.
Yes.
And how are we going to write this off? Oh, we're going to make a new breakfast dish.
And it's
It makes
super
sense.
popular.
It's probably one of our top three.
Yeah,
So yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
Well, speaking of top three, I know that very early on, you guys got a really good reputation for what is the corned beef? Oh, what is the Reuben?
yeah.
Reuben.
Yeah.
And of course, you coming from the East Coast, Keith, I think you kind of know a thing or two.
Yeah, I kind of knew what we wanted to do with it, and we actually started out buying a product that was already spiced, not cooked off. It was raw but spiced, and then we would slow roast it and do our Reuben, and it was really good. And the price kept going up on that guy, so we decided, something, we can get raw brisket and give it a shot. We checked into it, we did a little research online and actually saw some stuff on, I think it was probably on the Food Network, where we saw some folks doing corned beef. We said, that's not so hard. So we tried it, and it took it up a notch just by doing that. So now we brine our own beef or corn it, and slow roast it and crank out those Reubens and corned beef hash. So that's kind of a couple of products you get off of a single piece of raw material, I guess you call it. So.
Wow. Yeah. I know that I I had a business meeting, and of course, we happened to meet at Mac's place, and I was bragging about that sandwich, the Reuben, like the whole time, and the homemade Tater Tots, and I had the best commercial out there for you guys, really, me and my big mouth.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
And we came in, he got it, and he was just so, out of the whole meeting, yes, we did end up working together, but to this day, I am known as the person that introduced him to Mac's Place.
Oh, yay.
All right, very good.
And so I have a very happy client on a couple of levels. So.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a super popular sandwich.
Yep.
And it's not actually from the East Coast.
No, it's really
The
not.
Reuben was actually developed in Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska.
That's
Yep.
the origin
And,
of the Reuben. See?
I did not know that.
See?
And a
You learn
hotel
something new every day.
and I can't remember the name of the hotel, but it's a hotel in Omaha, Nebraska.
That
And
came
we
up
have a
with-
lady who reminds us of that all the time.
Yep.
Comes in.
Yep. But yeah, folks come from Loveland. They come from Denver. Hey, my brother was here. They told us about the Reuben. We've got to come in and try it. So, and then shortly thereafter, we saw, maybe it was a Food Network or some kind of show, and they talked about the Cuban sandwich.
Right.
And so we do have some couples that come in to get the Reuben, which is
Reuben?
Yeah, it's so they get a Cuban sandwich and a Reuben sandwich. We split it in half, and then each gets a half of a sandwich, and they both go home very happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
Making people happy. That's what
we're
Mac's
trying.
Place is all about.
Yes, we're trying to please everyone.
Well, so let's go back a little bit because as we started this podcast, being a restaurant owner has its own challenges. And what on earth made you do that, Teresa? Were you
It was
always?
his fault. Actually, it started when the kids were in at St. John's, St. John the Baptist Catholic School here in town. They would do these fundraisers every year, and it started 2006.
Something like that.
2006, 2007.
Yep.
They started doing these fundraisers, and everybody donated things in order to raise money for the school. Well, a couple of families would get together and do a party, and you paid for the party and then invited all your friends, and we were the cooks for all these parties. And every year, and it would be a themed party. We'd do an Italian, we did an Oktoberfest, we did all these different themed parties, and every year the price tag of those parties went up and up and up. And I think towards the end, when we were doing the Oktoberfest party, it was for people that we didn't know. we had no idea who they were. And, previously we kind of thought, oh, our friends are being so supportive. They're so nice, they're coming to eat our food. But now it was like perfect strangers that were like, yeah, you could totally charge more for this. And I'm like, what?
More.
So it really started off just volunteering and donating the money to charities. And when Keith got laid off, we got married in 2008.
Right.
I got laid off. That was my when I came back from our family moon. We call it a family moon because we took the kids. When I came back from that, my position at the hospital was ended or terminated, but my work was sent to another laboratory, basically. And so they gave me a very fair and decent, very good severance package, but I was kind of left with, oh dear, now what do I do after doing cytology for 21 years? And then I think...
I'm sorry, what were you doing?
Cytology, so the study of cells. Yeah. So I looked through cell fluids or body fluids to find those atypical or abnormal cells. So that job got farmed out to another laboratory, but if you ever lose a contact lens on a cobblestone path, I'm your girl, because I can totally find the needle in the haystack. So I still have that gift, but stopped doing that, and then he got laid off as well. He had a few extra little gray hairs here.
So tough to get back into the job market.
Yeah.
So I had been involved in growing up in delicatessens on the East Coast, so I always enjoyed the food business, and I'd kind of been in and out of it over the years, helping friends with getting restaurants off the ground and that kind of thing. And when the opportunity came, we'd always kind of talked about maybe someday when we retired or semi-retired, we'd like to open a little deli or a little restaurant, and it kind of came sooner rather than later. It was kind of like, something, shall we take a shot at it? Should we see what we can do? So
You never know when someday it's
you
going to
never
show
know.
up.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we started, we sat down and over one weekend, I think, basically said, shall we try to put something together and see what we can do? And took it from there.
Yeah.
Well, I remember networking with you, and it was such, I remember seeing you, and you threw it out there that, because you were doing just catering at the time, I think.
Right.
And you were like,
Right.
It was prior to opening.
and you're like, and we're thinking about opening a restaurant. And I remember, really? Oh, man.
know, right?
Really?
You lost your mind.
Because this was back, when was that? Because you've been in business, what is it?
It's probably been.
It was probably like
about-
2012.
Yeah, the end of 2012.
Yes,
Probably,
we opened
yeah.
up in May of 2013.
Yep.
But we kind of, I think
The process started like in October, November of 2012. Yep.
Yep. And we kind of said, well, we either need to do this or figure out something else to do. So,
But at the same time, it was, when I heard that, it made sense because of, our connection with the Chamber of Commerce.
Sure.
You guys had provided, some catering or some goodies, via networking around, and it was good stuff. And so it was like a natural fit. Hearing your backgrounds, maybe not, but
I know, right?
but like I said, you never know when someday is going to come upon.
Right.
And in that time, what I love, and I'll let you expand upon this, but one of the things that I love about Mac's Place is how you two keep moving forward. You add things, and not just food. You add, I know there was, you've had art in here, and then
Music.
love your patio. Tell me more about that. How, again, so you're rocking and rolling, you're making a go of it. What was that moment where you thought, let's use this space?
Well, I guess it really does go back to having that space. I guess if we didn't have that large patio out there, it would be obviously a little bit more challenging. I've never really liked the idea of having the music inside the diner, because I know there's some folks that they want to have an intimate conversation. They don't really want music blaring. But then others want to sit and relax and listen to stuff. But I grew up just north of Nashville. So I was born in Los Angeles, but I was raised in Hendersonville, Tennessee, home to Johnny Cash.
Nice.
And anyway, I always had that idea in my head that if we gave a venue or an opportunity to local musicians, high school musicians, anyone who wants to come and play, they would bring family and they would have an audience and they would get food. And so we kind of thought it would be a really good fit. And for a long time, it was super popular. And trends come and go. And I suspect it'll take another upswing again with the development in this side of town. I'm
There's a lot
hopeful,
going on over here.
that we can finally put some tenting or sails out on that patio and really make it a little bit more welcoming.
You mentioned trends and the growth that's happening around here. With starting a business in a restaurant in particular, I shouldn't say that because it's any business, a brick and mortar business. Looking at the trends in the town, the growth in the town, the decline of growth in some points. How did you get those peaks and valleys? How did you ride that wave? And has it been a struggle?
Well, we have a liquor store just down the way, so it's really not been that hard at all, actually. It's just like we go to the medicine store. We call him the medicine store, the pharmacist. But, it's a team effort, and it's reaching out to like-minded business people. It's networking. It's listening to other ups and downs from other people in this area. And even here in this shopping center, we all know each other. We all know the struggles. That just, we're coming up to a year now that this Safeway has been closed.
Right.
And we are anxious to see who's going to move in. And I think we all try to help each other as much as we can, giving out discounts and supportive of each other's events and stuff like that. I think that gets you through the tough part, but what a lot of people don't know, employees or people who don't have their own business, is, the business owners, we don't get paid unless we make a profit. The employees get paid. They get paid regardless of the profit level. But we only get paid if we make a profit. And so it is on us to keep developing new ideas, bring in the music, bring in the art, do dinners for the local football teams,
Yeah, just kind of wherever we can market, and we like to market I guess I'd call it a community-oriented sense, as Teresa mentioned, supportive of the local high school teams, the local organizations where we've worked closely with the Longmont Humane Society, done some fundraisers for them, teamed up with, early on we teamed up with Longmont Ford and did a fundraiser for the Humane Society. So it's that kind of marketing that it's two-tiered, I guess I could call it. Is you got some benefit going to the community, and you're also getting your name out there without having to write checks to get your name out there.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we've focused a lot of our efforts. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because I've said I believe, and I know I'm not alone. Small business is the backbone of every community.
It really is.
Yep.
It really is. I mean, we all would love to have here in Longmont, we'd all love to have a big old shopping mall where we can buy our Levi's jeans and get some, buy a tux, buy a suit, buy a dress. We'd all love to have those things, but on the flip side, we have a lot of small businesses where you can, if you know where they're at, you can buy those lovely items here in town, but it takes a small business to keep growing and become a medium-sized business and keep growing again.
Which is the actual goal, is
Right.
it
Sure.
not? I mean,
Absolutely.
you always want to move forward.
Yep.
As I'm talking to more and more businesses, what I love is that sense of, well, I've plateaued, so what's next? And
Right.
where I think a lot of people tend to see that as, well, if you plateau, then you're fine. And as a business owner, you can't, because you just said it's all about your profits.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
all about your profits.
Yep.
And you can't grow, you can't give back to your community.
Right.
You can't give back to your family and make something even bigger and better. You know? So I mean I think that's so
Yeah,
important.
I think if you plateau like that and continue, and think you're happy with that, the world's going to pass you by eventually. I think is what's going to happen. Like it gets back to what you were saying before, on innovation and keeping things going with new ideas and trying to be creative and that kind of thing. Because if you don't do that, the world is going to pass you by. And all of a sudden it's going to be, you're not on a plateau anymore. You're going downhill. So
Exactly.
that's
And why would you not want to invent? I mean, that's why I don't have a job. I couldn't do the same thing day after day after day. But if you're always inventing new things and being creative, then I think that and that's what I love about Mac's Place. Every time I come in here, there's something new and it's fun, and you do bring the community involved even at the front. So tell me about, speaking of bringing the community in, one of the great things that you have, she says. Tell me about the, let's say dollar bills, if you will, the tips that you guys got early on.
The origami bills. So I call it my personal art collection. It's been valued at $47. And it was a customer, Dave.
Yeah.
One of our very first
first
customers,
customers,
not the very first,
Right,
but
but
one of the
early
first
on,
customers
real
that
early,
came
yep.
in
Yep.
and he left a folded dollar bill in the shape of a shirt, a man's shirt with a collar. And I was like, well, that's too cute to spend. I can't spend that. So
I'm not giving that to the bank.
I put it up. I had a little, like a cake tier, if you will, and I kind of started collecting them. And as different customers came in, they were like, oh, that's lame. I can do a frog. And so then I would like a frog.
Right, yeah.
And then, frog. Everyone does those. I'll do a pig. And so they all started leaving them as our tips, and I didn't have the heart to undo them. So my mom and dad, actually, Maureen and Bill Barrett, they built this mobile for us to display them all. And yes, we've had customers come up and ask if they could borrow a couple of dollars. They're short and they want to borrow the frog. And I was like, no, I can't
do that.
give you the frog. Yep. And some people try to buy them. Like, hey, I'll give you $5 for that one. I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't replicate that frog. I can't do that again. You see how hard that was?
Steve gave that to me. I'm not
know,
giving that
right?
to you.
All those tiny folds, I can't do that. So, that's gotten a lot of attention. Kids love to look at it. I'm glad it's hanging on the mobile because remember how it used to be on those
on the tiered shelves. Yep.
Tiered shelf, and it would get knocked over and pieces would go flying and all of that.
It gets a lot of attention.
A lot of people come and look at it, but
Because then you had the kids, instead of saying, I bet I could make something better than that, I bet I could take that apart. I bet I could take that apart.
yeah, no, we love it, and it got started by Dave, but I think there must be 30 different people in
Probably,
there
yes.
that did it all.
Bet. Yep.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
So,
But again, it's a conversation piece.
Well, and it's like the knife here in the store. In the diner, there's a knife hanging up on the brick wall. The plates are painted, and good family, the Cunninghams, friends of ours helped us paint those. And then we decided, to give the community a sense of ownership of the diner, we would put a knife up there with their name on it. So the right side of the knife, the blade side, is actually friends and family who helped us financially start it, or paint plates, or hang lights, or do a wall. So they're all on the blade side of the knife. And then on the handle side are folks who are here every week. And we don't tell their wives. We just have them sign a knife, bring a knife from home, and we glue it up there. So
some of them come with their wives too. So
some do come with their wives, yes, but a lot of them do not. We're not going to talk about that. But
I just want a quiet meal. I just want a quiet meal by myself.
And I want my eggs done right, and I want my this done right, and I don't want to complain to my wife that she's not doing it right. But we're situated in such a lovely area of Longmont. You've got patio homes. Retired people can just walk right over, sit, meet. One of my fondest memories, actually, of that first year was, unfortunately, the flood in September 2013. We we knew it was raining, but we were only 5 months in to the business. So we were still working from 6 or 5 in the morning till 8 at night. We were still at the exhaustion part. And it was raining a lot. You know, I don't know. It's raining. So at one point, I was walking past my computer in the back, and I saw this helicopter fly over video, some footage of all this land getting flooded. And I thought, poor Missouri. They always get flooded.
Right.
But it was us. And
Wow.
we had no idea because of where we are in town. We weren't really affected by the flooding. And that was Friday the 13th. And then Saturday the 14th was a wedding that we were catering.
Right.
And that Saturday morning, the bride was here with her whole entourage. Of course, everyone from this side of Longmont was here too because they couldn't get over to the west
Get over
side.
the other side. So
And the
it
bride was in
kind of became a
tears.
gathering place that,
It
that
did.
weekend. Yeah.
It did. A lot of people
Wow.
found us that weekend, that
Yep,
day.
yep.
But the bride was absolutely frantic. She was in tears. Her family couldn't get in. Her friends couldn't get up. It was just falling apart. And sitting next to her was this guy with a lot of ink, a lot of tattoos, a lot of piercings, and one of those big pink mohawk things.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I don't even have music. I don't have anything. And I said, well, you know, you got food. We'll be there.
Right, we'll be there.
But the guy with the mohawk was like, you know, I do music. And so, like right here in the diner, they bump into people that help them. And
Wow.
so I feel like it's really a sense of East Longmont, like a local meet and greet place. And I think and I said that in that first article, every great neighborhood needs a great little diner where people can run into each other. There's so much you can do online and on your phones, but nothing beats running into friends over coffee.
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of, you know, not wanting to plateau, what does the future hold for Mac's Place? Is there anything on the horizon? I know, you know, you mentioned GE, but I mean, I know you guys are doing a lot more catering as well. Is that right? I mean, where does Mac's Place grow next?
Well, we're right now we're kind of waiting to see what happens with Safeway, the old Safeway building. We think there's some things in the works there. After, as Teresa mentioned, after a year, we finally saw some activity happening there, and we think some things are going to happen. So hopefully that's going to have a positive impact on us here. And we're to the point now where we're looking at you know, the possibility of a second location. We've scoped out a couple of spots in Longmont, but we're also kind of you know, keeping an eye out on the East County. That seems to be, or I guess it would be the West Weld County. I don't know where the lines and stuff run, but the Firestone, Frederick, Dacono, Erie area, that seems to be real hot right now. I think a lot of restaurants are looking out there to move, especially some of the ones down in Boulder. I've been reading some stuff that they're looking to that area also as the place where things are happening. So probably that's what we'd be looking at doing. Is looking for a second location. Again, a lot of it depends on how things pan out here with the former Safeway store space. So we got some irons in the fire, and we want to continue with GE. Hopefully that's gonna keep happening, keep going. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at, and you know, we'll always look at new ideas for this location here. You know, new menu items and those kinds of things as we see stuff that looks fun, or you know, play around. That's the cool thing about a small independent business like this is you're not shackled by a lot of corporate or franchise rules and regulations and that kind of stuff. So we can play around back there in the kitchen and you know, bring it out to the folks sitting out there and say, hey, give this a try. What do you think? So
Right.
It's kind of cool that way.
Yeah, we did that with the French fries. Remember,
Yeah,
everyone?
yeah,
we didn't want to do French fries.
No,
we
'cause we
wanted to be
couldn't get it
different
right.
and just
Yeah.
do the potato
Yeah.
chips.
Yeah.
When we first opened up, and people were like, you know, if you're serving burgers, especially that Navy Yarder,
Yeah.
dude, you gotta have French fries. And I was like, everybody has French fries.
Yeah.
Why do we have to have French fries? But we didn't want to
You cross your arms and say,
I know. French fries somewhere
Well,
else.
to be honest, we couldn't figure out how to do them right.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Well, without doing a frozen
without-
product.
yeah,
A frozen
yeah.
product was, I mean, it's not
Yeah,
good.
it's just not the
but,
same.
I mean, that would fry up the way we wanted it, but
Yeah.
it didn't taste
Yeah.
right. So
we played around with a lot of recipes and stuff like that with hand-cut potatoes, and we finally got a process down that works real well. So we decided, well, we'll put the French fries on the menu, but we ran them past people. And, just people happen to be in eating lunch, and it's like, hey, give these a try. We're playing around with French fries. And are they good? Are they bad? And when we got to the point where we were getting nothing but positive comments back, it was like, okay, we got it. We can put it on the menu now. So.
yeah.
That's like Oprah's show. I mean, you never, being ooh, is today the day that we all get something new?
Yeah.
It's like, I'll be your guinea pig. I'll be your guinea pig.
Yeah, we've done that.
I've done that with
almost every meal we've done.
Or donuts.
The donuts came out that way.
That's the
I
way,
just
yeah.
saw that walking
Yeah.
in here.
Yep.
So what
Well, we used to do the maple bacon cinnamon roll.
Yep.
And they were hugely popular. They were delicious. But like a trend, they kind of dropped off and people
dropped
stopped
off, yeah.
ordering them. And I was like, okay, well, let's do something else. How about how about a funnel cake? How about this? And so it's like something fried. That's what we want. And played around with that one. That took a while to get that one right.
That
But
did,
we
yeah.
just took donuts out to everybody. And it's a fried dough. It's actually an Italian dish called a strafoli.
Yeah, similar to that with our twist on it, I guess. Is, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit vanilla-y, a little bit more sweet. The Italians will serve that sometimes often with honey, drizzled with honey and like fairy sprinkles, like at weddings. And we didn't do that, but we dusted with cinnamon and sugar, and they're nice. They're made to order, so they're hot out of the fryer when you order them, so they're good. Yeah. I see that glazed look going over our eyes.
what do they say? 2020. Hindsight is 2020. I'm thinking, man, if I'd been here in the morning,
Yeah.
you guys wouldn't have been able to sit down and talk with me.
But you'd have been able to have
But
donuts.
You would have gotten the donuts.
donuts.
And we did the Pop-Tarts for a long time,
Yeah,
and
we
that
did
did the
those.
same
Yep,
thing.
yep,
That
yeah,
kind of
they
went
went-
up, and it's like,
yep.
woohoo! And
Everybody,
they were very labor intensive,
Yeah, that
but
was
they
a-
were
yep,
good.
they were really
They
good,
were
but
really
yeah.
good, but a lot of labor. And then, when they're not doing as well, that's when you kind of like look at, hey, look, we did 4 hours of labor on that. How do we keep justifying doing those? So, maybe we'll bring them back someday. Maybe we'll come up with something different.
Yep.
But we're always open to suggestions. We see something on a program
Yeah.
on television
Yeah, or
or
something, yeah.
going to another restaurant, we're like, oh, yeah, we
Ooh,
could
yeah,
totally
that's kind of
do
cool.
that.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
we should do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, but here's the way I think we'd do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of the one that comes to mind with that is the curried chicken. That's become
yeah.
extremely popular.
Yeah.
Our curried chicken salad, and that's Teresa's recipe. She monkeyed around with that. Took a piece of a recipe from here and a piece of a recipe from there and whatever, and kind of finally kind of threw it all together, and it's a big seller at lunch. We do it as a sandwich or as a salad, and it's just kind of playing around with ingredients and kind of putting it all together.
And customers, they'll come up and
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
hey, I want the Veggie Burger. So we make our own veggie patties. They are not frozen out of a box
Yep.
or whatever. So wild rice, eggplant,
Yep.
peas, carrots,
Now you're
dehydrated
spicing
mushrooms.
it up with poblanos now.
Yeah, I've been throwing in some roasted poblanos just because it's that time of year. But we make them ourselves, and we had a customer come in. It was Jess Epler, and she's like, "Well, I want the veggie burger, but I don't want the bun." And I'm like, "Well, how about if we put it on a salad?" And she's like, "Well, that's an awesome idea." So
Sold.
So there you go. So Jess is veg on veg. That's how that came about.
It's
So.
on the menu now.
Yep. Come in with a great idea and something that we've got or we can make, and we'll put it on the menu.
But that goes back to that homemade aspect of Mac's Place, and that's what I always think of as Mac's Place, where, because we got a menu, it's hanging up, but they're just suggestions,
Right.
And there's not a lot of people that that do that. And did you see that as a risk, or was it just people are asking for stuff and I want to make people happy? Or, because, there's some business owners who are like, this is my way, this is how I
Yeah.
know what we're doing, and this is how to keep it straight for us and for everybody. Because, you got employees.
Well, that's kind
thing-
of what's cool with the open kitchen area, the open, it's kind of diner style, I guess you call it. You know, it's the flat top is there, and we're cooking right out there in the open, and people, you know,
They can lean right into the
They can
counter.
watch you, and they can, you know, say, hey, you know, could you do this or could you do that? Or it's like, yeah, sure, why not? You know, and sure, we'll give that a shot, and it sounds good to me. You know, and yeah, it's that kind
I
of makes
think
it
that's
fun
the-
for me too.
yeah.
You know,
I think that's the key
yeah,
is that they are so close to the cook
you get
when they're
that
ordering
interaction going
that
on,
they can
yeah.
just say, hey, instead of doing it like this, could you do it like
Go
that?
this,
So,
yeah, yep.
I don't
and
mind.
and it's fun because you get a lot of interaction with your customers and you get to know them. So,
Unless they ask for really crappy stuff,
yeah,
You know?
then you won't do it.
like
yeah,
roast beef with ketchup.
Yeah, I won't. I still for my son keeps.
I wish there was video for that face.
Marcel, our
son, he
son,
wants-
insists on having ketchup on his roast beef sandwich,
No, on
and
his
he just
turkey
wants it.
sandwich, and I refuse to do it.
Oh, is it turkey or roast
Yeah,
beef?
it's turkey.
Oh,
I can live with ketchup on roast beef.
If
can't
I had
live with
to,
ketchup
yeah.
on turkey, so I won't make it.
there you go.
I'll make him a turkey sandwich and give him a ketchup packet, but I
he
won't
can-
put it on there.
Not with these two hands, Marcel.
That's right.
Not with these two
That's
I've
hands.
had people come up to me
Yep.
at the register and like, do you have some olives that you could put on that? I'm like, oh, that's gross. That's disgusting. Olives are gross,
I'd
man.
be okay with it.
Yeah, he would.
You don't say that to them, do you?
I do.
You do. You would.
Yeah, I would, unless it was like if it's a customer that I've seen before, or you know they look easygoing, they look like they're in a good mood. I'd be like, oh, that's gross. No. I mean, they do it at GE all the time. I know my olive lovers over there. They'd be like, Teresa, do you have some olives? And I'm like, yeah, I got them. I'll get Yuri to go get them for you because I won't touch them. But
Well, again, that's why we go into business for ourselves because you know I'm carving my own way, and if I need to divert a little bit,
right.
I will.
Absolutely.
But you know what? But you're wrong. I'll do it, but you're wrong. Yeah.
If I don't have them, I don't have them. But if I have them, I'm gonna give them to you. I'm just gonna have
right.
this look on my face that says, "Yeah, that's kind of gross."
No, that's wrong. But you can have it.
Yeah.
But is there, if you did not have Mac's Place and weren't running a business, is this something that you would still want to do, or is it, I can't see us doing anything else? I don't know. And you can't say I want to retire and just go live on a beach. No, that's not an option as a career.
Not yet. I can't see us doing anything else.
I like this business. It's,
Yeah.
It's, it's got its ups and downs, and it can be frustrating, and it can be stressful. But yeah, I don't see doing anything different. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't. It's
I like the interaction. I mean, I
Yeah.
just like greeting the public
Yeah.
and learning our customers by their names and what they like. And,
Right.
they friend us on Facebook and then they say, oh, great game.
Yeah.
I'll post something about Abigail's volleyball and they'll like, oh, she's getting so big. So I like that interaction and that people, I hope, feel we are approachable. And if they saw us out and about and, they have done that before, they'll see the hat or whatever, yo, Mac. And so, yeah, I like that sense of community. And I think taking it a step further and giving back to the community that supported us for so long. Getting involved in community events that really don't have a direct benefit, but maybe an indirect benefit. Being part of the Longmont Business Advisory Council. We opened up the diner for the Ward 1 or 2 candidates last
Right,
year.
yeah,
So
yep,
they had a place to meet and talk with the
yeah.
constituents in this area. That was really important.
yep,
That was really
yeah.
important. And
Yep.
it gave otherwise somewhat disenfranchised people living in this area an opportunity to say, this is important to me, and I don't care about that.
Right.
So,
When I think that's so huge that to, again, with marketing, because as you start a business, everybody comes out of the woodwork.
Oh, yeah.
Poor startups. I mean, they get hit and hit and hit,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's confusing. I mean, you don't know what to do. But it's interesting that you went the route of community. Well, one, I mean, that is the currency here in Longmont, and thankfully so,
Yeah.
where, community is so important. And I believe that in everywhere. I know I have lived other places where that wasn't so as much as Longmont. But a lot of people wouldn't think about that. Like you said, it wasn't a direct, benefit to us. But in the long run,
Yeah.
It's not only a benefit to you, but I would say your customers as well,
Sure.
right? Because,
Sure.
you are such a mainstay in this particular area.
Right.
So, I mean, again, it's that marketing, you have to be open-minded.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
You
Yeah.
really
Yep.
do. And being stuck
You
in your
gotta-
ways.
Yeah, you got to think outside the box, especially now with so much social media and that kind of thing. There's so many new opportunities and new pathways to get your name out. And I mean, it's changing all the time. I mean, and believe me, and Teresa will tell you, I am not the tech savvy person, but I mean, I am astute enough to know that, I mean, it was Facebook, and now Facebook is kind of getting kind of overshadowed by Instagram and Snapchat and all these. Every couple of years there's something new out there. So, there's those avenues to explore, and there's some of the stuff is, you look at kind of the old-fashioned print advertising and stuff like that, and you reach a certain group there, but it is so very, very expensive that if you can get out and use social media, which Teresa's a whiz at, you can really leverage things, really leverage your presence without a lot of dollars flowing out, and the money you would spend on a single print ad, you can reach many, 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 many more people, and if you do it right, it continues to go. Whereas the print ad is being used to wrap fish or thrown out in the garbage a day later, and you've thrown all that money away. So that's kind of what we're looking at now. Is where's the how do we take it forward, and how do we leverage that social media? So.
And that's so true because, there are certain industries that print advertising, that is, they'll tell you that is the only way to go. That is how people find us. And that's
Absolutely.
great. But you have to be a big fish
Yeah.
to be
Yes,
able
exactly.
to do that consistently,
Consistently.
and
That's
for
the
it to
thing.
pay
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
But small business, I love what you guys are doing. And again, it's that hometown, homemade feel that Mac's Place has been known for since day one.
Yay.
So I love you guys for being on my podcast. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
everything
Yeah.
you've done.
All right.
Yeah.
This is
Good deal.
amazing. And so, Donuts. Is that N-O-T-S? Is that
It's
donuts?
donuts.
Nuts.
Because it's
Yeah,
not a
it's not a
donut.
donut.
Oh, clever.
I know, right?
See?
I shocked myself.
Okay. Wait, you came up with that?
I did.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
it's not a donut.
Donuts. See, this marketing just writes itself.
Just call us and order it on the phone and swing by and pick them up. And then you've got hot little donuts to pop in.
Okay. And how much time do I need to give you
I know,
guys?
just like 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Teresa and Keith MacPhail with
All right.
Mac's Place in Longmont, Colorado, a wonderful family-style American restaurant with homemade goodies, and just come in. They're going to know you by the second time. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
All right.